How to hire a virtual assistant for affiliate marketing. A lot of different steps when it comes to hiring a virtual assistant or whoever. The first one I would say is when to hire. And this is where I think a lot of people make a mistake because they think that they need to grow a big business by themselves first to be able to start outsourcing and all that. And I think it's honestly just stupid if you don't outsource, because everyone has these super mundane tasks that anyone can do it. So what's really the point of you wasting your time to do that? So there's a very simple formula here, and that's basically calculate your hourly rate, and if it's higher than the VA, then hire the VA. So let's say if your hourly rate is $20 and the VA costs $5, you will get 4 times more done for the same amount of money. So it doesn't really make sense. It's better for you to do something else, make the money, and then hire the VA to do the extra work. You're going to extend your time, basically make extra additional hours. And another thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is that you can hire part-time. A lot of people think that, oh, I don't have enough tasks to hire a full-time person. You can just set specific hours per week that you want the VA to do and just do that. But actually, I'll show you later how you can hire someone really cheap. So actually, you might as well just hire someone full-time. By the way, I created a blueprint for the best business model out there, so check the description. So the second step is, where exactly do you find VAs? So there are a few different places like onlinejobs.ph, Fiverr, Upwork, Freelancer. I'm going to leave all of the different links. I actually have some discounts if you're going to use some of these platforms, so check out the links. But there are some things that you need to really understand which platform you want to use. So in very short, if you use something like Upwork or Freelancer, which are probably the most popular platforms, those platforms charge 20% fee, and you don't really see that fee because it is charged on the freelancer side. But what it basically means is that even if it's on freelancer side, the freelancer now is basically just going to increase their prices by 20% extra to make that money. They're not just paying out of their pocket. So the total project costs are just going to increase by the 20%. And so basically, let me just show you a quick example. So let's say you have a project that's $1,000. So for this project, because you're paying 20% fees, you are basically paying $200 for the platform, which is quite a lot of money, honestly. By the way, I have created a document of 50 best growth hacks used by the biggest marketers out there. Check the link below. So there are some websites like onlinejobs.ph, which I really like. And in here, for example, what you can do is they have these plans where you pay either $69 per month or $99 per month, and you get 3 or 10 different job listings. So basically, you post a listing here and then people apply for your job, and once they apply, you choose who you want to work with, and that's it. These are the only fees that you ever pay to the platform, and monthly, obviously you can just cancel after the first month if you found your candidates and all that, and that is it. So instead of, let's say, if you know you're going to spend, let's say, $1,000, you might as well just pay $69 and find the person that you're going to work with, instead of paying the $200 for the other platforms that you don't really see right away, but that's what you are paying at the end of the day. And this is especially the case when you are working with someone for long term. But I'm not going to lie, there are also some benefits with the platform. So the platforms such as Upwork and Freelancer and all of those, they handle all of the different issues. So if something comes up, they're basically the third party that is between the freelancer and you. So it's kind of nice to have that in certain cases, but usually when I hire someone that's on ongoing basis, I'm going to hire them directly rather than Upwork or Freelancer. And are some benefits as well if you're using something like Fiverr, because with Fiverr you can find the very specific gig that you just want that executed and that's it, and the person just knows how to do this exact thing. It's a little bit faster and easier. So there are some benefits of using the different platforms. Again, I will leave some more additional extra information if you're interested in what to choose. Now, the next step is how to actually get good freelancers. This is actually the tricky part because hiring is very, very difficult. So one thing you have to understand is don't just expect that you're going to post a job and you're going to get the best freelancers out there. What you need to do is you have to actually sell your job as you are selling anything else. First of all, you have to be very clear on what exactly are the different responsibilities expected by the candidate. I found that this is something that people really value when you make everything very clear. Also, what you can do is you can tell them what they're actually going to learn, because people want to learn, they want to improve the skills. This is basically a benefit. Although people actually just do internships because they want to learn stuff. What are some additional benefits working with you? So for example, let's say for me, what I always like to put is that I allow flexible schedule. I don't do set hours. I do have some small requirements, but usually that's one of the benefits, that you can work on your own time. I also like to encourage people to accept different ideas, suggestions, stuff like that. So I do have a lot of templates, SOPs, things like that people need to follow, but also I'm not going to shut you down. I'm going to help you try to improve and encourage you to be also creative. I'm not going to go too in depth, but I'm going to leave a whole Notion file of all of this and additional tips how to do this. Okay, so the next step is step number 5, job posting. So this is pretty important as well, because this can drastically change your results. So there are a few tips. And the first one I would say is you want to have a specific title. The more specific you are, the better candidates you are going to get. So for example, virtual assistant for wellness e-commerce store. And you might think that this sounds a little bit too specific, but if you just put on virtual assistant, you're going to get a ton of different applications, and it's going to be hard for you to actually narrow down who's the best fit. So if you put it very specifically, okay, someone who's maybe more into e-commerce and someone who maybe has some knowledge in wellness, they might also put that in their application, so it's easier for you to understand, and it's going to just make them want to work with you more. So it's going to find those specific people that are better fit, and again, it's going to save a bunch of time not going through bazillion different applications. Another little thing that I found is you want to show that you're a growing brand. So perhaps you are a very small business, but if you show that, hey, there is potential, this is growing really fast, that means that they are going to be growing really fast as well. And it also might mean that they might get increase in their salary, promotions, and all of those kind of things. And another thing, what I kind of already mentioned a little bit, is responsibilities versus tasks. So obviously you have different tasks that you give to people, but you want to name it in a way that it's actually responsibility. So you actually trust people. Everyone wants to feel somewhat important within your business. And this is just one example. There are a lot of different ways, obviously, how you can do this. All right, so the next step is finding best applicants. And there is a specific step-by-step formula that I do here. So first of all, you want to create a list of different applicants. I forgot to open my Notion now, but I will include it in the document. It's just a very basic list where when I go through applications, I just put down all of the different names, and usually I put down some sort of a little note. And as I try to do everything at one sitting, so when I sit down, I go through all of the applications, and it's very easy then for me to put everyone in the order of how good potentially I think they actually are. So then basically I just want to contact the top applicants. One thing I will say is that just a portfolio or a CV really isn't enough. Even let's say if you're hiring someone that you want to do some graphic design work, you want to do, let's say, video work, they might have amazing portfolio, but unless you actually see them in action, honestly, I wouldn't trust it 100%. So what you want to do is, most of the time you want to create some test task, and this should be very sharp because this is kind of like the first when people are just applying. So I would say limit to somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes and have it pretty straightforward. So for example, let's say if it's virtual assistant, basic virtual assistant, maybe you have some task where you need something organized and something like written or something like that. So it's easy for you to compare basically how different people are performing it within a glance. You don't want to be studying everything. You want to open the application, and within 10-15 seconds, you can kind of get an idea of how well they have done this. When it comes to design, stuff like that, obviously it's much easier. You can ask for specific design, things like that. And then when it comes to the next step, what you want to do is, I would say there are some time management softwares that I use, and I will leave some of the links for the ones that I like. Basically, I ask them to use the time management software where I can actually see the screenshots, so I can see what is their process, how exactly they go about doing things. This is kind of important when you're not in the office. And basically, I choose usually maybe around 3 candidates, depending on who exactly I'm hiring. I would say minimum is 3. Sometimes I go as much as 5, but I give all of them exactly same task. And I just want to compare, okay, how long it took them to complete the task, what was the result, and what was the way that they actually went about doing this task. By the way, I almost forgot, when you are hiring a VA, one little trick as well that I do is I have them fill in a specific form, especially if I'm hiring from online jobs. So I'm not going to go through this whole form, but basically I have all of the different sections that are important for me. And with this, I can then very easily go through all of the different candidates, and I have everything within my database. Again, I will leave how exactly you can get this form and just copy paste it. All right, so let me give you a few tips how to work with your virtual assistant, or anyone that you're outsourcing. So first of all, you want to have some sort of project management software where you have all of your tasks organized. There are a lot of different options. I will leave some of my favorite ones. Another tip that I really like is using TransferWise. And by the way, another tip here is that you can find some templates that are already pre-made, some SOPs, things like that, where basically you have, let's say, if you're using Notion, you have a Notion template or ClickUp, whatever it is. You have a template of already how to work with who your VA, designer, whatever it is. So it makes it a lot easier rather than building it all from scratch. Again, I'll leave some links where you can find that. Another thing that I like to use is Wise. So Wise is basically just money transferring platform, but what it does is, as you can see here, it basically gets you much better conversion rates compared to all of the different banks. I had banks in Europe, in US, and I always found that this had better conversion rates, and also it had much lower transfer fees. So as you can see, it basically shows you exactly what are the fees, and it also shows you the exchange rate guaranteed for the next 14 hours, and you get much better results. So you can actually choose. Usually it's an easy way as well to do transfers. Usually I just use this to transfer money to all of the people that work for me, and at the end of the day I just make it in a way that, okay, you're going to make more money because I'm using Wise, so you get better exchange rates. One thing I realized from experience is that even though I give flexible hours that people can work, they can choose their own schedule, which a lot of people really appreciate. I just said how many hours you need to do per week. One thing I ask them to do is minimum hours a day or a week in this case. So usually I will say, okay, I need you to put in at least like this amount or this amount of work, especially let's say if something urgent comes up, because I have noticed that if you don't have any structure whatsoever, some people struggle with that. So I try to allow flexible schedules, flexible working hours, but I still ask them, okay, I need this specific amount, I need this specific amount. Otherwise, if you kind of just let them, okay, you want to hire someone full-time and they're like, okay, I'm going to do 20 hours this week, 40 hours next week, 60 hours next week to catch up, they might not end up doing that and it might become a little bit of a mess. So I just say, if I hire someone, okay, I want you to do 40 hours a week. I don't care at what times, but that's what I want you to do. And I want you to be available at least 1 hour in case there's something urgent that happens. And what's very important that can help you out a lot is, I would say, having a list of recurring tasks. So especially if you're hiring a virtual assistant, you are going to have some new projects that come up, but as things come up within your own life, sometimes you're going to miss out on assigning new different tasks, and you want to make sure that people always have different work to do. So what I like to do is I have a bunch of different recurring tasks that people can always come back to, and then I'm going to be assigning new tasks as I go. And once they finish the new tasks, if I'm not there, if I'm not able to assign new tasks, they're always able to come back to the recurring tasks. Now, just to give you a few examples of some of the different tasks that you can give to, let's say, a virtual assistant, because I know a lot of people actually struggle of thinking of different things. So online research is number one. Even if you don't think they can do as good of a research, at least they can narrow down things for you, and then you can kind of finish the research. Managing social media. Posting on social media. I don't know why anyone would ever post on social media themselves. I mean, there are some caveats where Instagram can track or Instagram, TikTok can track your location, device stuff, and things like that. I'm not gonna get into this in this video. I'll actually leave some links that you can use. There are some softwares you can use with your virtual assistant that's going to show that they're based in whatever country that you choose. But yeah, managing social media, posting, super easy to outsource this stuff. Sorting out emails, again, narrowing it down, opening, organizing, very easy. Customer support, again, you just kind of over time you pre-make different FAQs, things like that. Data entry, keyword research, cold outreach, a bunch of, again, I'll try and leave another bunch of different example tasks if you want to get some ideas how to save time by outsourcing. And lastly, just to mention some benefits of having a virtual assistant. So honestly, if you want to scale fast, you can't do that just by yourself. You need to hire other people. Also, doing repetitive tasks, I don't know about you, but it absolutely drives me crazy. So you definitely want to outsource those. You can, a lot of times I would say, do a thing once, twice yourself, so you understand how it works and what's maybe the most optimal way, the best way to do it. But after you have done it a couple of times, there's literally no reason for you to do it yourself again. What you want to do is you want to focus on the most important things. So you want to follow basically the 80-20 principle. And most of the time you will be able to outsource 80% of the stuff, even if it's not done as good as you might do it yourself, because that is difficult to find someone that can do it as good. Sometimes you might find someone that does it better, but it's difficult. But most of the stuff that's going to help you to succeed within your business, that's going to be the 20% that you're doing. And 80% is sort of just things that are necessary to be done, but they are not that important. Like, other people can do it. You don't need to execute them. You need to focus on what you are the best in, what other people can't really replace you in. So hope you found this whole thing useful. As I said, I'm going to leave a file of this whole thing and some other tips and all of the different tools that I personally use for outsourcing.